Welcome back to the Louie Bellina Show here on the Zone, 1150 AM, 93.7 FM. It is the lunch hour on the Louie Bellina Show. The Louie Bellina Show is presented by CC Electric, residential, commercial, and industrial services. CC Electric. This is Caleb Rapley here on a Friday in June, part of the summer edition of the Louie Bellina Show. I've got one more show with y'all next week and one more hour left in this one, and it's 12 o'clock. I've been teasing this for the last 60 minutes. We are going to jump out to the D4 Land Services hotline and visit with Aggie Baseball player Travis Chestnut. Travis, thank you for joining us. How's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing great. It's been a really interesting journey getting to watch you and the Aggie Baseball team. Was super excited when you came back for the 2026 season. What were some things that went into that decision?
Yeah, so obviously I was here for my junior year and my senior year, and people who don't go to A&M, they don't realize this, but once you're an Aggie, you're always an Aggie. And so
Absolutely.
when I left for my fifth year, because I ran out of eligibility and I went to St. Edward's, the only thing I wanted in life was to go back to A&M. I watched every game. I gave a lot of my teammates some A&M uniform or A&M merch. A lot of guys were walking around with A&M Travis Chestnut shirts and Aggie Baseball shirts because, I turned St. Edward's as much Aggie as I could.
There you go.
And so I knew that if there was any shot, if I ever got a redo in life, because at this time I didn't know I was going to get a sixth year, I would go back to A&M. And that was the plan. And fortunately enough, somehow I got another year of eligibility, and I knew right away. As soon as I was getting approved for that year, I called Coach Early and I was like, "Hey, I got approved for another year. Like, I'm coming back to A&M." I didn't even talk to any other schools or encourage anybody else. I just knew right away I was going back to A&M.
Yeah, and we were really, really excited to have you back. We don't love Diego Pavia around here, but that's one thing we can thank him for after that court case.
True that.
But yeah, whenever we heard about that, we knew it was going to be a lot of fun. Got to see you play a lot this year off the bench and some starting roles at second base. In 2024, I think the most playing time you got was at center field, if I remember correctly. So, how is that transition being a guy that, really moves around, a true utility player? What goes into the different preparations when you're, if you're starting at second base or maybe playing outfield? What's different about it for you?
So I guess a little backstory. I started the year at second base in that 2024 year. I was the third string second baseman. I was behind Ryan Targach and Caden Kent, and things just weren't working out for both those guys, and I got an opportunity, and I was able to run with it at second base. Then I had a small oblique injury, so it kind of put me back a little bit, and then once I got healthy, I came back and was playing second base. When Braden Montgomery slid into home plate and hurt his leg, that's when I moved to center field. And to be honest, I don't, not at the top of my head, I can't remember a time where I've actually practiced in the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of just that year they always the inside joke kind of thing was to play outfield, all you have to do is catch the ball. So that's all you have to do, catch the ball. It doesn't really matter how you do it, catch the ball. As far as preparation, I would, you see the lineup when you go out for BP, and that day during BP, I would take reps in center field, or if I was at second base, you take reps at second base. I don't think there's much to it more than, outfield and infield are the same thing. You get Popeyes in the infield. They're a little different. Outfield's not too hard. I don't know. I guess the preparation just comes with getting reps during BP. And I think the biggest practice for the outfielders is BP reps. It's the only way you can simulate an actual fly ball. Coach can hit fungo to the outfield. It's not the same. You can shoot fly balls off the machine. It's not the same as an actual live ball just because of the spin and stuff. So the best preparation for outfielder is batting practice. And
Right.
As far as second base, you trust your footwork and you trust your practice that you've done, and you put your body in the right spot to make the play. You're going to make the play 10 times. That's the tricky part about the infield is getting your feet, getting the hop that you want, and allowing your feet to to just work the way that they're supposed to.
Yeah, so while we're talking, about that 24 team, I know it's been 2 years, but pretty much consensus the greatest season in Aggie baseball history. That team, it definitely did look good on paper. You had some big freshmen coming in. Getting Braden Montgomery as a transfer was huge, but lots of teams look good on paper, and then can't really have real success. So what was it about that team that allowed them to execute the way that they did, or the way that y'all did? Sorry.
Yeah, that team was very close. We had a lot of great team chemistry, and quite frankly, I think that in order to win the College World Series and to have a far run, or just at least to have a far run, the hottest team is the team that goes the furthest. So if you look at this year, A&M was hot. We were super hot. We were scoring 10, 12 runs. I think we were averaging 10 runs a game at some point of the season. Or we may have finished average 10. I don't know. And it's just the team who gets hot. I think that 2024 team, we got hot. I mean, I don't know. That team was good. We didn't lose very many games.
Yeah.
But we got hot at the right time, and we had a good pitching staff to help us to carry us in the games that we didn't score, and the games that the pitching staff didn't do too well. The offense was right there to score right there to score behind them. So I think just that team was what helped that team get far was just the chemistry we had. Everyone loved each other. We were a great bond group, and we got hot at the right time. Obviously, some injuries happened throughout the season. I mean, that's every year. You look at 2025, injuries happen, and your team goes downhill from losing key guys. And you look at this year. I mean, you lose some important roles, and it's hard to piece together a lineup or piece together roles for guys to fulfill. But I think just the biggest takeaway for that 2024 team was just the ability that just the fact that we were hot. There wasn't very many pitchers in the country that were going to throw a fastball by Braden Montgomery. So you knew
right.
he was going to, even on his worst day, you knew he was going to put the bat on the ball, and when he did that, he hit the ball very far, along with Jace. I know Hayden Schott was a key role, scored a lot of the runs for us. And I feel like that lineup also had a good balance of home runs, had a good balance of walks to home runs to hits. Like, we just had a full lineup that could do it all, and I don't think there was really anybody in the lineup that the other team wasn't afraid of.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the biggest what ifs is, what if Braden Montgomery doesn't get hurt and you have that bat in the lineup, or even if he's just able to hit and not play the field. But, baseball it always comes down to things like that. There's always ways to validate it. But that was definitely an amazing team. It was a lot of fun to watch. This season, you mentioned the teams that have success in the postseason are the ones that get hot at the right time. So what can be the catalyst to something like that? I know you mentioned the 24 team didn't lose a lot of games, so you've been a part of a lot of hot streaks, and in this 26 season as well, there were some really, really nice win streaks. So what is the catalyst to something like that and being able to win that many games in a row?
See, I wish I knew the answer. Like, and when your team's hot, you don't even really you don't even know. Like this year, we started off scoring just so many runs. Scored 22 or whatever it was. Just scored so many runs, and you don't even at that point you're like, dude, we're just really freaking good. You never think that, oh, we're just really hot right now. You can't. It never goes to the hot or the luck part of it. You're always just like, oh, this team's really good. So as far as the catalyst, I really have no idea. I guess just guys are seeing the ball well. Pitcher may not have. I don't know. It's just sometimes some games your whole lineup just sees the ball different, and I don't know if it's because the pitcher isn't spinning the ball enough, or if he's missing down the middle more than other teams, or whatever it is. It's just I just know that there's always that one game where you just see an offense explode, and then for the next few weeks, that offense is they're just on one, and they're just continuing to drive the ball. I know wind takes a big factor in a lot of this, in my opinion. If you hit a ball and it blows out of the yard, it makes life a lot easier. Obviously, it's hard to hit when there's on terrible fields where the wind's blowing straight in. So I think that plays a big role into hot streaks. And then, sometimes it's just baseball. Within those hot streaks, there's always that one player that keeps hitting the Texas leaguers that fall right behind shortstop or right behind second
Right.
base, and that's always the key. That's always like the key at bat that started the 5-inning run or the 5-run inning for the backwards. But yeah, I think it's just the way that the world rotates. I guess I really have no idea. It's just it's fun to be a part of, though. It's fun when that team is scoring 10 runs. Or you can look at the 2024 team against Georgia. Like, we go down 9-0 and then put up 8. They put up 9 in the first inning, and then we put up 8, and then we end up scoring 10 more or 11 more runs and run rule of 19-9. Like, I don't know what went into that. It was a lot of home runs that day, so
right. Yeah,
a lot of wind blowing out. Like,
I remember I was there for the end of that game, standing in Aggie Alley, and it flipped so fast. That's the thing about baseball. You never know. You know, people like to compare it to football. The Super Bowl, the best team usually wins the one game in football. But in baseball, the worst team in the league can take a 7-game series from the New York Yankees. Like, you just never know how it's going to go down. And that's one of the things that's beautiful about it, in my opinion. So this was a great season, a great bounce back from 2025 in Coach Early's second year at the helm. So who were some players? I know that you see the Gavin Grahovacs, the Caden Sorrells that hit bombs and hit 300. Obviously, some of the biggest contributors to the success that the Aggies had this year. But who are some people that maybe don't get as much shine as them that had a big part to play?
Let's see. I mean, yeah, like, as far as, like, the shine, I think the whole team deserves a shine. I mean, you come back from – I mean, you got Ben Royos, who sat the whole year and then comes out against, Ole Miss, and just is on fire and pushes us through a few more wins.
Yeah, 7 for 7.
Yeah, the most insane game, most insane series or weekend I've ever seen. And then you rolled out the next week and then pretty much did the same thing. I mean, I can't really think of anyone to pinpoint exactly. I mean, I know you have Blake Benderups who bounced back and forth when the injuries were happening. He went to first base for a few games, and then someone came back and he's back on the bench, and then had to go back out to the first base. And I think it's hard for a player to get in that groove of, you know, there's obviously a difference between starting every game and being in that routine, and not starting every game, but starting every 5 games or whatever it is. So, like, I mean, always tip my cap to Benderup. Just because it's not an easy task to just sit and then have to go get in that bat in the 8th, or to sit the whole game and go get in that bat in the 7th. You know, you have your Nico and your Boston Killers. These guys worked their tail off. They worked so hard all year. Boston Killner, I don't think there was a time where I looked at Boston Killner and he wasn't working. He's always trying to do something, always trying to take extra ground balls, always trying to take extra swings. I mean, yeah, I think the whole team. I mean, what made that team good was the dedication, the toughness, and the work that we had. So, as far as everyone, even guys who didn't play, like, you guys had 0 at-bats or 1 at-bat in the year. Like, they were still in there working. They were still in there trying to get their work in and better themselves, which would better the team.
Yeah, that was something about this team that I thought was really fun to watch, was the depth. There was never a moment, even when you had lots of players not playing because of injuries. You know, Chris went down, Nico went down for a while. Boston missed those games that allowed Ben Royo to take that spot and do a lot with it. But there was never a moment where you felt the lineup was shorter because of it. There was always people lower in the lineup that were able to have those at bats. A guy like TK really provided that spark in that regional win over Texas State when he got the start in that game. You know, maybe not statistically, but even just for morale, TK is just from the outside. It's been a lot of fun to watch him be a young leader on this team, and the freshman impact was insane as well. You know, we're about out of time in this first segment. Let's do another segment. Let's take a break, and then we'll continue our conversation after that. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks, Travis. We are going to put you on hold, and we will be back with more Louie Bellina Show. We are inside the Charles Schwab studio. This is the Louie Bellina Show here on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
The Houston Astros play in the zone. Thanks to Kelly Bird Dozer.
Welcome back to the Louie Bellina Show here on a Friday. Caleb Rapoli hosting as part of the summer edition of the Louie Bellina Show. The Louie Bellina Show is brought to you by CC Electric. We are going to jump back out to the D Ford Land Services hotline and continue our conversation with Aggie baseball player Travis Chestnut. Travis, we talked a little bit about this in the first segment, but it was a very unique journey for you in college baseball, going from Temple College and then spending 2 years there, coming to A&M, back to St. Edwards, like we mentioned, and then getting to spend that final season of eligibility back here in Aggie land. So what are some things that you think maybe you learned from that experience, having those unique opportunities compared to maybe a more straightforward path? What are some things that you learned that you don't think you would have learned otherwise?
Yeah, as far as like what I came out with this year, what I really learned, or what I took with me this year that I've learned the most, is when I was at St. Edwards, I was going into that, I'm going from the SEC College World Series championship team to Division II. You had to kind of bite your tongue a little bit. It was, a little humbling experience. But when I was doing that, well, prior to that, I had a job. I was done playing baseball. I was working, and I was giving lessons at DBAT, trying to get my career situated and figure out what I was going to do career-wise. And I knew that I had Division II eligibility, but I was like, I don't want to go play Division II. Like, I'm an SEC college championship team or player. I don't want to, I didn't want to do that. And then I was working, and I saw on TV Angelo State versus some other Division II, and I was like, wait, that doesn't look too bad. Like, I could do that. And so I reached out to some schools, and I was able to go on some visits and obviously commit to St. Edwards and attend St. Edwards in the spring. But when I was going to St. Edwards, my biggest motto and the biggest thing that I wanted to do was I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to play stress-free. Just going into that, you're not going to be facing 100. You're not going to be facing some first-round pick, just crazy talent guys. So I was like, it can't be that hard. So let me just have fun in what I'm doing. Like, let me just do what I do and just play hard and play for fun. And that brought me a lot of success at St. Edwards. And so when I was coming to A&M, that was my biggest thing that I learned was, this is a game. It's fun. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. It doesn't matter if you're facing Paul Skeens or Hagen Smith or whoever else. It's a fun game, and it's really not that difficult if you just have fun while doing it. And then obviously being older, I just learned kind of what it took and what it looked like to be a leader. Just playing on teams with good leaders like Ryan Targach and Hayden Shaw, and just all the different leaders that we had, Trevor Werner, Jack Moss. I just realized I kind of figured out and learned what it looked like to be a leader and to help lead a team and lead guys. So as far as like my biggest takeaway, my biggest learning experience was that it is a game, and no matter what you're doing, no matter who you're doing, even if you're working your job or whatever, like find fun, find success within fun, and I think that kind of takes you a long ways.
So, your first year at A&M 2023 and then final year 2026, that was definitely a very tumultuous time in Aggie baseball. So, with Coach Early now having completed his second season and you got to be a part of that, what are your thoughts on where this program is headed under Coach Early?
Oh, I mean, the only place it can go is up. I think Coach Early is a fantastic coach. I think he's learning. He learns just as much as the players do every year. I mean, I don't see any failure from Coach Early. I think that he's a very educated guy. He's smart, and I think the biggest thing that he does is he learns himself, which is always important. I feel like if you get the coach that thinks they know everything, teams don't really work out, because who likes playing for a guy that's a know-it-all? So I think that the success for A&M is going to be very good, especially with the new hire. I heard that the new pitching coach is supposed to be a really good coach. I know that A&M's got a bunch of good transfer guys this year. And outside of Early, Pennington, you got Pennington for the infield, and I mean, he's a good job. He does a good job. He knows how to teach young guys and other guys how to field a ground ball. So I don't see I see Texas A&M having a lot of success for the next few years.
Absolutely, yeah. One of those transfers that you mentioned, was on that 24 team with you, Jack Bell, and he's doing kind of the similar thing of leaving which he left for a couple years, and now he's coming back. So that's really really fun to see players get to return to Aggie land, in that way. So, a big part of your game throughout your career was the bat to ball skills, and then the ability to steal bases, lay down bunts. In the modern baseball world, those things aren't nearly as emphasized as they used to be. So I personally, as a baseball, kind of a purist, even though I'm about the same age as you, I really like the old school baseball. But just being able to be a player that's really focused in that area, especially this year, how do you think that type of player will? Do you think that type of player will continue to exist in modern baseball, or do you think it's going to start to go away?
Yeah, for sure. You don't see much bunting and all the stolen bases in MLB because, one, the players are super talented. I mean, they're the best in the world. But two, they, how do I say this without sounding stupid? In MLB, it's not always about winning. It's about winning, but they have 162 games or whatever it is. So you lose 50 games and you win 50 games. You got 62 left. Those 62 determine if you make playoffs or not.
Right.
Going into, I had a coach that always said that if you in MLB season, you're going to lose 50 games. You're going to lose 50 and you're probably going to win 50. So just those last 62 are what determine it. But in college baseball, every single game matters. We play 30 conference games. Those 30 matter. So you can't just there's no guarantee. You could go 0 for 30 or you could go 30-0. So as far as the small ball, obviously it's coach's way of coaching. If you have a coach that likes the small ball, that likes the bunt, it's going to be around. But I think it's always, there won't be a single year in the rest of the world that there's not a year that one player doesn't bunt. And I think it's just the ability to manufacture one run is important in college baseball. So getting a runner on first, especially late in game, getting a runner first and bunting him over to second base. I think Pennington, I can't remember the exact stats, but Pennington was telling us how a runner at second base with no outs, there's some sort of percentage of whether the run scores on when the player's at a certain position with a certain amount of outs. And I know a runner at second base with no outs, it was a 60% chance or something like that, or 6% odds. So just having a runner in scoring position with less than one out or less than two outs, you're at a higher chance of scoring that run. So as far as if that'll be in the game, I believe yes. My short answer is yes. Just the ability to manufacture one run in college baseball is important, and the team that scores the most runs at the end of the game is the team that wins the game. So, I would argue that it's one of the more important roles in baseball, in college baseball.
Yeah, I don't think we've really seen it go away as much in college as you mentioned in MLB. The MLB doesn't do it quite as much, but I think they are starting to move back a little bit to that small ball mindset. We've seen it with the Royals this year. I think it was the Royals that have had a lot of that into the game, which I really enjoy seeing. And it's kind of turning into almost reverse Moneyball from that original situation. Was very much the guys that are undervalued are the guys that get a lot of walks. I think it's starting to shift the other way to now the people that are undervalued are the players like, Luis Arias, who hit over 300 and maybe they don't hit as many homers, but are always going to put the ball in play. So it's just really interesting in the world of the MLB, how those things can change. But got one more question for you, and then, we'll let you go here. I just want to know, with this final year of Aggie baseball under your belt, that experience, what do you plan to do with that? What's next for Travis Chestnut?
Yeah, so I guess a little somewhat secret. I did submit an application to try out for Banana Ball. So my plan A is to try to get on a Banana Ball roster. I didn't really know much about it. I still don't really know much about it. I just know that everyone that I've talked to, fans and family, they're like, "Can you please go play Banana Ball? Please, you'd be so good at it. We love watching you play. you don't even have to do it. You don't have to do anything, and people love watching you. So I submitted that application and waiting back to hear on when the tryout is or how to get on the tryout. Not sure what the process is for that, to be honest. But I've done all my work on my side to do that. And I've talked to some guys that play, and they're like, "This is the most fun baseball I've ever played in my life. Like, if I could do this instead of going to college, I would." And then obviously, if that doesn't work, it's time to find a job. I've thought about coaching, reaching out to some coaches, try to start in collegiate. I would prefer to start somewhere collegiately. And yeah, just kind of going from there. I'm just living day by day. Don't really have any plans right now. Haven't done much in 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since season ended, 3 weeks since season ended, and just been hanging around and waiting to hear back from the Bananas. And then if that goes sideways, then time to reach out to some coaches and see if they have a spot for me on their staff.
Well, I know whichever of those paths you end up going down, it's going to be great. We've really enjoyed getting to see you play here in an Aggie uniform for a total of 3 seasons now. Looking forward to what you do next. I really appreciate you coming on the show today. Have a great one, Travis.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much. Gig 'em.
Gig 'em. All right, that was Travis Chestnut, former Aggie baseball player and possibly future banana ball player. We'll see how that goes. Good luck to Travis in those endeavors. Travis was joining us on the D4 Land Services hotline. Get your land fixed up at d4landservices.com.
Here on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Welcome back to the Louis Bellina Show here on a Friday afternoon, 12:34 on a Friday. Caleb Rapley here. As part of the summer edition of the Louis Bellina Show, I have hosted all of the Fridays in June, and I've got one more next week, so stay tuned for that. We are here inside the Charles Schwab studio. Support comes from Mark Sim at the Charles Schwab branch in College Station. Schwab offers a modern approach to wealth management with financial planning to meet an investor's specific needs and the flexibility to adapt as those needs change with time. Learn more at schwab.com/College Station. It's time for part 2 of our Listen In. Mike Elko on Greg McElroy's Always College Football podcast.
Yeah, it's amazing, though. I watch you every year, and it's like, all right, there's a wrinkle. And then the week after that, there's a wrinkle to the wrinkle. And it's like you're always a step ahead, and it's stressful as a former quarterback to watch, but it's enjoyable as a fan of college football to watch as well. There was something unique about your team last year is what you're able to do away from home. Like we all know Kyle Field's an unbelievably, insanely good venue. Yeah. But to go to Notre Dame, to go to Death Valley, to go to Missouri, 3 very difficult road environments, and you go 3 for 3 in those 3 games. What did that teach you about kind of who this program is?
Yeah, I think it was something we had to do. I think obviously if you looked at us over our time in the SEC, the road record was a big blip on our radar, right? It was something we had to improve and get fixed. We talked an awful lot about it going into last year because we knew so much of our success was going to hinge on those games and how we performed in those games. And so I think the kids take a little bit of confidence in, okay, we're doing things in a way that when we get into those hostile environments, and in each one of those games, there were moments where it was not going our way. We can stay together. We can figure out a way to come together and come out on top. And I think that's a huge part of playing in this league. If you look at the successful teams over the years in this conference, they have all struggled somewhere on the road and just found a way to get out of there with a win. And that's SEC football. And so it was really cool to take that step. And, as you look at the schedule this year, it's going to be as imperative that we're able to go out there and try to accomplish it again.
Yeah, if you talk to anyone in the league, it's like, man, if I can just get 2 on the road, I feel great about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially, and 2 of those 3 that you mentioned were night games on the road.
Yeah.
That even enhances the difficulty level. And so I just think it's what makes this league a little bit more challenging is, you go into some of these road environments and it certainly doesn't feel like you're playing a lower level team. That's for sure.
And you talk, I mean, like you said, the upcoming slate with LSU, Bama, South Carolina, Oklahoma, bunch of road games, difficult spots. And the funny thing is, like, will anyone care at the end of the year? You know what I mean? Like, it's so tough, though, as you're living it, and you see your schedule.
Yeah.
And how do you kind of set up the offseason? Do you kind of go, all right, well, today in our offseason training program is LSU, and next week is Bama, and the next week is Missouri? Do you try to create and simulate that week-to-week grind that you're going to experience?
No, I think we probably do it more in bigger pictures. Obviously, there's a part of your schematic process that is how to play on the road in those environments. And so, that's just part of our natural install now. And, you're starting to get ready for how we're going to handle playing where we can't here in spring ball. So I think that's one piece of it. We talk a lot about like quarters, like breaking things down into quarters. And so I still feel like that's the right way to handle the season. The first quarter is full of excitement. The last quarter is full of hope. The middle is where everything happens and gets determined. And so we try to put that into it more general like that, probably a little less into the, this is LSU week, because with the portal and everything changing, I don't even know what LSU week looks like until LSU week comes around, right? What is the personnel going to be? What is the scheme? It's hard to do some of those off-season studies that you used to do because there's too much turnover now in college football year to year.
Yeah, I don't know how you prepare. I mean, I don't know how you don't chase ghosts.
Right.
That would be a mess.
Right. We try not to. We try not to. You try to avoid that as best you can.
Yeah, I mean, just be glad you don't have like a Florida in week one.
Right.
That'd be a tough putt for sure.
No doubt.
Look, year one was the foundation. Year two was the breakthrough. What does year three look like in your eyes?
Yeah, I think it's our challenge is, can we stack years? And hopefully we're going to get multiple cracks to do it. But this is a year where we have the ability to say, okay, we're a program that is going to consistently be in this conversation. We want to consistently be competing for playoffs. Well, that means we got to go do it again this year, even though we're replacing 13 starters. We want to be a team that's known for how we develop guys to get to the next level. Well, we got to go out again and get 8+ guys into the NFL draft. And I think that's been our offseason conversation, is just for us to be the program everyone thinks we can be, and certainly that we want to be internally. We've got to stack this. It can't just be, oh, hey, they did it last year and then it's another, right? That just can't be how Texas A&M football goes anymore. And so I think it's a big challenge for us. It's a big challenge to prove that we really have shifted this thing and are moving in a direction that's going to allow us to compete with, the best programs in the country year in and year out.
Well, it's amazing because I feel like for all the success you had last year and the talent that you have returning at certain spots, I feel like while many people will have you in the top 10, top 12, wherever you end up in the preseason rankings, who cares, frankly. But you seemingly, and you talked about it in the first answer, you feel like you're flying under the radar. Is that intentional to avoid the spotlight, no one pay attention until it's game time on Saturday in the fall?
Yeah, probably personality too. I'm not really, you don't have to win the offseason hype train anymore. I think the way the playoffs have changed, a lot more is going to determine itself on the field. And so I think there were years where it was really important to make sure your team started as high as it could start, because you were only taking 4, and where you started was going to play a big role in where you finished. I think now, and I said this a lot last year, people were asking about where you're at. It doesn't matter anymore. At the end of the day, we're going to play 9 SEC games this year. We're going to play another Power 4 game this year. We're going to get on the field and we're going to earn our place in the playoffs. And that kind of maybe gives you a little bit of comfort in how you go through the offseason without having to go out and self-promote your squad.
Yeah, it's kind of different. That's for sure. It's definitely earn it on the dirt. It's very different than it used to be.
No, it feels so much more like the NFL shift, right? There's not mass hype around any NFL team in the offseason, right? You don't hear them hyping up teams in the offseason of the NFL. It just feels like the right programs are shifting a little bit towards that in the college space.
It makes sense. I do think, though, when I turn on television, I see a lot on the Cowboys for whatever reason. I don't know what that is.
Everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I do want to ask you something a little different before we get ready to kind of put a bow on this. Like, you played at Penn, and you look at your coach. And now I might have this not in perfect order,
that's
but
okay.
Stony Brook, Penn, Merchant Marine, Fordham, Richmond, Hofstra, Bowling Green, Wake Forest, Notre Dame, all before you ever get to the SEC as a coordinator.
Yeah.
So was I close?
Yeah, that's better than anybody else has ever looked into my background for sure, Greg.
Okay. I think I got all the pronunciations right, too, so that's a win.
Yeah. We'll do the mascot game in a minute.
I don't like my chances there. We'll skip that one. All right. We're not trying to undermine credibility on the show, but I think about this, and I'm sitting there, we're getting ready to call the game, and I know what it feels like for me as a fan, and being from the state of Texas and being in Kyle Field for a playoff game was like, this is unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a cool moment for me as a Texan. But what does it feel like to you, the moment that you walk on the field at Kyle Field that's hosting a college football playoff game, and you're the head coach that's leading them out there, given the steps that you took to get to this point?
Yeah, for sure, humbling. I tell people this. I say this to recruits a lot. Like, I got in this game to coach football and to try to impact kids. That was what started me. That's what allowed working at those types of places to be really exciting to me. I never got in it to be a superstar or anything like that. But it's also not lost on me how far my career has gone and in some ways how much we have been successful at what we've done along the way to get here. And, there's not a lot of former Merchant Marine Academy defensive coordinators that are at this level. I think Luana Rumo, who's the DC for the Colts, and me are probably the two. And so, it's been a fun journey. You certainly kind of take it in a little bit when you walk into that stadium. Kyle Field is such a special place and such a special atmosphere, and certainly honored to be the head football coach here, trying to build this program into what it wants to be.
Was there like a younger version of Mike Elko that would have ever let himself believe that this was possible?
No, honestly, and this is not like coach speak, this is real. I think one of the reasons why this has happened is because I never tried to make it happen. I think for me, it was, okay, I'm the defensive coordinator at Hofstra, and I'm going to be the best defensive coordinator I can be. And that always seemed to lead to something else. But it was never because I was out trying to get something else. And I think maybe that's just how I was raised, how I've kind of been. And certainly that's probably the mindset I try to build into our program as we're going through it.
And it's the last one that we'll get you out of here with, because Aggie fans across the country and across the world, frankly, listen to the show. Like, we get all the metrics. Like, we're very well supported in the state of Texas. And look, they've been waiting, and as with friends that are Aggies, like, they've been waiting for this program to be what they know it could be for a very long time. So I'm going to give you this opportunity to kind of give the message to the Aggie fans that are listening. Like, what do you want them to know about where this program is headed?
Yeah, I think that maybe for the first time in a long time, there's a coach in here that's building this thing the right way, that's doing this thing internally and laying a foundation that's going to allow us to have success, and certainly is working tirelessly to lift this program into what we want it to be. And I said this when I got hired, to get a program to become an elite program like the big brands in this sport, we can't just say we want it. We actually have to go out and do a lot of things in order to make it happen. And I think through 2 years, we have put in a lot of work to change so much about the inner workings of this program, the alignment between the university, its donors, and this program, to where now it sits in a really, really good place. And you can see a lot of momentum pointing in the right direction. And so stay behind us, continue to support us, and let's go out and have one heck of a fall this year.
Yeah, well, it's always great to visit with you, Coach. We're so happy for you. We're excited about your team this upcoming season, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, appreciate you, Greg. Enjoy your summer.
That was Mike Elko on Greg McElroy's Always College Football podcast, part 2 of our Listen In. We've got one more segment left on the Louie Bellina Show. We're going to talk some World Cup and also a quick preview of the College World Series final between Oklahoma and North Carolina that starts tomorrow. But right now, a moment for Texas Mobile One Lube Express. The Texas Mobile One Express inbox is where you can weigh in with your thoughts. Text 979-693-1150. Texas Mobile One Lube Express, where they say, be good to your car and it'll be good to you. How do you be good to your car? Take it to Texas Mobile One Lube Express.
ESPN Radio has the score. The score. Check in weeknights and weekends here on The Zone.
Welcome back to the Louie Bellina Show on a Friday in June. 10 minutes left in our time together. Caleb Rappley here as part of the summer edition of the Louie Bellina Show. Every Friday in June, I will be guest hosting, so one more next week. And in this final segment, real quick, before we get to the World Cup, I do have producer Jeanette in the Charles Schwab studio with me. We're going to talk World Cup.
What's up?
But real quick, I want to talk about the Men's College World Series because I love baseball, in case you couldn't tell by the 30 minutes, really pretty much a full hour I spent talking about it so far today. So we're going to talk about that real quick. North Carolina, Oklahoma. It's not the matchup that a lot of people were expecting. North Carolina was definitely a favorite on the left side of the bracket, and they went undefeated, beating Ole Miss, West Virginia, and then West Virginia again. So that's not too surprising, but Oklahoma has been a team that surprised a lot of people, and you heard Travis talk about it earlier. It's all about getting hot at the right time. So both of these teams have gone undefeated through Omaha so far, but somebody's got to lose tomorrow in Game 1 of the National Championship in NCAA Division I. It's going to be a great one. I'm really looking forward to it. I think Oklahoma, you kind of got to lean towards them just because of how much they've been running through everybody. I mean, they beat Georgia, I think it was 11-4.
SEC.
Yeah.
SEC.
And it's funny because, when you see North Carolina, Oklahoma in the baseball national championship, you're like, oh man, Big 12 ACC. Wait a minute, Oklahoma's not Big 12 anymore.
Right.
So yeah, SEC is still represented, as the entire right side of the bracket in Omaha was SEC teams with Bama, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Texas. But yeah, looking forward to it. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, if necessary. Best 2 out of 3 series between the Tar Heels and the Sooners. Oklahoma, the designated home team for Game 1. So should be a great matchup. And now let's get into what is the most popular sporting event in the world? Question mark?
In the world, yes. In the States, no.
Yeah, in the States, definitely not. But the World Cup continues on. USA got their first win.
Woo-woo!
Pretty big deal. But not as big of a win as Canada got. 6-0 over Qatar. Their first ever win in the World Cup.
Well, so at the end of the game, or by the end of the game, Qatar was playing with 2 red cards, so they were down 2 men. Right. So, but I mean, even before that happened, Canada was up 3-0. So you can't say, oh, it was a fluke. No, I mean, Canada was going to win anyway. But so they've got the goal differential help right now if they need it.
Yeah. And speaking of red cards,
yeah,
through 27 games, there have been as many red cards in this tournament as there were in the previous 2 tournaments combined.
Wow, I did not know that.
There were only 2 total red cards in the whole World Cup in 2022 and 4 in 2018. So definitely getting a lot more chippy this year.
Yeah. Now, and I'll say last night, I don't know if you've seen it yet, gruesome, brutal. I mean, I shouldn't say brutal because the guy was not intending, but the player from Canada went out with a broken leg.
Right, yeah.
And, since you're not looking at it, we can say it. I mean, it was broken. Both bones were definitely broken. I mean, it was just kind of hanging there. Thank God he had socks on to hold it kind of in place.
Yikes.
But yikes. So now he's out, and the player that did it got a red card, which, I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah, you can argue back and forth on whether or not that was deserved, but
it just wasn't intentional. I mean, and you could see the player who inflicted the injury. I mean, he was devastated because you never want to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about today.
Before we do that, just real quick. I know we've talked about this a little bit, but the goalkeeper from Cabo Verde.
Okay.
So he had 56,000 followers on Instagram coming into this tournament.
Okay.
He now has more followers than Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Victor Wembanyama, and Jalen Brunson. He has 13.8 million followers on Instagram.
That should tell you, yes, it is a world sport, not a U.S. sport.
But it's just insane that a 40-year-old goalkeeper from Cabo Verde could gain 13.5 million followers in 2 days.
Well, now I got to go follow him because I got to see what all the hype's about.
Bozinha is his name.
Okay.
So yeah, he's only 1.6 million behind Tom Brady. So if they win or draw another game, if he has another great game, he's going to pass him, and that would be hilarious to me. So U.S. got the 4-1 win over Paraguay today. In about an hour, they'll play Australia, so that'll be interesting.
Yep, I'm rushing home for that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And then before we run out of time here, I want to talk about what happened in Boston with the fans from Scotland.
Right?
That was amazing. So, for those of y'all who don't know, they basically drank Boston out of beer, which is insane to do.
Freaking awesome.
I didn't know that was possible because...
Well, and they stocked up, so they drank extra beer.
Exactly. So that was just hilarious to me. Somebody said, I believe it was the chief operating officer at Hennessy's Bar in Boston told the Boston Globe that sales tripled St. Patrick's Day in Boston.
Nice.
Tripled.
Good for them.
How is that even possible?
Scotland.
Question.
That's how it's possible.
Scotland forever.
And I haven't seen the official, but I did see like a little blurb when I was scrolling that apparently English fans drank some Dallas Bar out of booze too.
So the United Kingdom's just showing up and showing out.
Pretty much.
So good for them. I mean, as an American, still go USA, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about sports like this coming to America is that you get to see things that you don't usually see. So, but it's been a lot of fun so far this World Cup, and there's a lot of ways to go. There's a possibility that USA and England could match up in Philadelphia on July 4th.
No,
Is that not possible anymore?
I sat out there and I did the math of who I think's going to end up winning the group, and because what happens is we have to, if we take our group, which I think we will, then we get the third place team of either groups B, E, F, I, J.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so there's no way to predict who that's going to be, and then we would have to beat another team. And it would not be on July 4th.
Right.
It would not. So.
All right. Well, that's about all the time we have today. Thanks, Jeanette, for joining me.
Pipe dreams busted. Sorry.
Oh well. Well, that's going to do it for the Louie Bellina Show here on a Friday in June. The Louie Bellina Show has been brought to you by CC Electric. I've been Caleb Rapley. Thanks for hanging out. I've got to go.